Um, you might have seen the link for me for my upcoming Living and Thriving as an Empath class. That's coming up pretty soon, and I realized that some folks might not be quite 100% sure what exactly it is we're talking about, or I'm talking about. So I thought it'd be nice to do a quick little Facebook Live and give everybody a chance to chime in. I'm also recording this for YouTube later so that we have this in multiple spots, because of course not everybody's available just when I happen to be ready to go Facebook Live. So if you have questions about being an empath, or what an empath is, or what the heck I'm talking about, feel free to post them. In the meantime, I'm going to go down the list of things that I've identified that are sort of, I mean, certainly this isn't a comprehensive list. There could be way more to this list than I've got, but it gets you started. It gets you started with the idea of some indicators of what being an empath is. Now let's just start off and kind of define the word empath. There are a lot of different terms that people use to describe the sensitivity. Excuse me, I hesitate to use that word and I'll tell you why, but let's just use it for a minute. The sensitivity to the energy of other people. Other people, places, things, objects, and animals, to be comprehensive, but there's a lot of different terms for that. Psychic is one of the terms. Intuitive is one of the terms. I'm forgetting one of my terms already. It'll come to me. I like empath because it doesn't, sensitive, that's it. Sensitive, psychic, and intuitive are the really common words people use for this. And intuitive's okay. I like intuitive okay. What I don't like are sensitive and psychic, and I'll tell you why. Part of the trouble with being an empath is that you get people who say to you, stop being so sensitive. And so that word sensitive kind of sets my teeth on edge a little bit, because it's been sort of co-opted to mean you shouldn't be the way you are. Now, those same people don't tell you, stop smelling so well, or stop hearing so well. But they'll say to an empath, stop being sensitive, which is basically saying, stop having one of your senses work. So that sensitive word, I had to throw that one out the window. Psychic has so much baggage on it, and so many ways that people have used that word over the years. And for a lot of people, it's very triggering. It brings up a lot of really weird, I'm not sure if that goes with my religion sort of thing, that it's nice to just have to be able to skip over. Because this is not about religion. This is not about worship. This is not about a deity. This is about you having a sense, like hearing and smell and taste and touch, a sense that is stronger than average, sometimes extremely stronger than average, and not talked about very much. So there's no appreciation for the power of this gift, or little appreciation for the power of this gift. There's sometimes fear about this gift, and there's also nobody going along to kids and saying, by the way, this is what you need to do in order to use this as a gift, rather than feel like you're getting run over by everybody all the time. You know, if you were in a room where the music was very, very, very loud and you saw people plugging their ears, you wouldn't think that's weird. But if you don't know how to, in the same case, plug your ears, in essence, when you're feeling psychically or empathically overwhelmed, what are you going to do? How do you deal with that? Well, that's what the class is about. Giving you all the tools I know to be able to navigate life as someone who's very, very empathic and has these sensitivities that are really superhero powers when you use them in a strong and powerful way. And you know, when I talk to empaths who don't have any tools, they're suffering. When I talk to kids who've never been acknowledged for the sensitive that they are, for the way that their empathic nature shows up in the world, they're overwhelmed. and sometimes they act out or they retreat. I was talking to one the other day, and there was this question of like, why is he eating so much sugar? He's just eating so much candy. It's like, well, being empathic can be exhausting. And in an attempt to feel like everybody else and have a little bit of energy in your body after running everybody else's stuff through your nervous system 24/7, you might turn to a little bit of a pick-me-up that chocolate or sugar, caffeine can give you. In other cases, maybe it's a depressant. You look for alcohol or other things that slow, just numb you a bit so you're not so connected to everything. These are not exactly healthy ways of going about it. And I would like to teach you healthier ways and share with you what I've discovered after all these years. I mean, all these years of trying to figure this out. I just ran around in the world, having absolutely no ability to handle this. And negative things happen when you can't handle this. And incredibly positive things happen when you can. So let's talk about some indicators. Indicators that you might be an empath if. One of the main ones, at least for me, and it seems to be for lots of other people I talk to, do you easily pick up on the feelings of others? Now, the trouble with empaths is they think everybody does. When I give this list of things, almost every time, at least one person will say, yeah, but that's how it is for everybody. It is not how it is for everybody. It's literally not how it is. So if you say yes to these things that I'm going to list off, be really aware if you hear yourself saying, but that's not unusual. That's how it always is. Everybody's like that. It could be that a lot of people in your family are like that because this gift tends to run in families, I've noticed, especially, it seems to especially go down the feminine line. But that's not excluding men from having this gift because, of course, there are plenty of them that do. But it's very common for me to have moms say, yeah, and it's my daughter too. I hear that all the time. Okay? So do you easily pick up on the feelings of others? Another way of asking the same question is to say, do you know where your feelings stop and another person's feelings start? Ugh. That one, I spent every bit of my schooling having no idea where my feelings stopped and where my feelings started. I have a really good story about that, though. Let me tell you one really good story. I won't save this just for the class. I'll share it with you guys. So I had a real conundrum in school, especially in college. And that conundrum was I was way too sensitive with no skills to be in group settings, period. And also, sometimes I didn't have to actually know what was going on to know the answers to the work. And so I was always a very good student and I always studied a lot. But there were multiple times in my schooling where I literally did not know what was going on, but I still got the answer right. And sometimes in a very extreme way. And here's an example. When I was going to junior college, I finally just couldn't take it anymore. And looking back at it, I know it was because I was too sensitive to be in groups of people like that. And so I didn't go to class for a long time. And then the final came. And the final, this was in accounting, of all things, is what I thought I should be in my life, was an accountant. And it was the accounting file. And this was the class in your journey to be an accountant that was sort of the make or break class where people would say, a lot of people failed this class. And if you couldn't pass it, you should change majors. So it was a really hard class. I hadn't gone to class in like 3 months. And I show up for the final. I don't even know why I bothered. Like, what was I thinking showing up for the final? And because my professor couldn't be there to give the final, the next accounting class up, so like if we were in class A, class B, the next one up, we took our final at the same time that class took their final. And to be like keeping us from cheating off each other, they put us in seats. So it was every other seat. So let's say I was in the middle somehow. So I was surrounded, in essence, by people who had already passed the class that I was taking the final for. And when I sat down to do the final, it was so easy that I finished way before everybody else. And when I got up to turn in my paper, the teacher looked at me like, there's no possible way you can be done. And I was like, I'm done. I just knew the answer to every single question. As soon as I saw the question, I knew the answer to it. It was really cool. I didn't quite know what was going on, but since I hadn't gone to class in 3 months anyway, I figured, whatever, I'm getting out of here. I ended up getting an A in the class. When my grade came, I was like, how did that happen? But looking back at it now, it's totally obvious. It's like, yeah, okay. Put me in a room where everybody around me already knows the answer to this problem, and that's going to be a good situation for me. So that's a way of picking up on feelings from others that actually kind of worked out. I ended up dropping out of college shortly thereafter because I couldn't deal. We had gotten to the point in our my college career, where they believed we should all work in groups. And so every class we had to work as a small group, and I couldn't deal with the feelings of all the other people all the time. It just wasn't working out for me. So anyway, that's a little story about how this can be an incredible superhero power, and we call that matching energy as well. Do you easily feel overwhelmed in crowds? I remember going to the mall. You know, I'm an 80s kid, so when I was coming up, going to the mall was cool, and just literally wanting to run. I just wanted to run because I was trying so hard to get away. It's like I had to get away from something, and I couldn't identify what I needed to get away from. I just needed to get away. Crowds. I have a really interesting insight we're going to talk about in the class about different kinds of crowds and how to navigate them in different ways. Very cool insight that I got talking to someone who signed up for the class. Do you find yourself feeling strong emotions without any clear cause? This one was always really interesting for me, again, back in school, where it just helped if I was hanging out with someone who had a really strong personality, because then I would just feel their emotions, and it was never comfortable, but it was better in some way. The other thing about feeling strong emotions without clear cause has to do with the next couple things down here I was going to read to you guys. Do your emotions change quickly when entering shops or gatherings? There's this sense that when you walk into a store, if you immediately pick up on the energy of the other people in the room or the store, your energy, your feelings can change very, very fast. And that is not comfortable. And again, makes it really hard to know where you end and other people begin, and what's important to you and what's not. And it can start to skew your morality even. If somebody comes along that has a very strong opinion and you think, but is that right? Their strong opinion can override even your morality, even what you know is right or wrong. It's a big deal. Do you know what your boss or kids want before they tell you? Now here, watch out, because you know, as an empath, I gave you the warning already. You're going to go, yeah, but everybody does that. Every mom does that. Maybe a little. Maybe you're like, oh yeah, that body language tells me my toddler's hungry or something like that. We're talking on a different level here, where you know what they want. See, I was always, when I had a normal kind of job, I was often a secretary or an office manager type. Perfect job for me. Perfect job for an empath. Just nobody else has to know what they need. I just know what everybody needs. The customers, the clients, the boss, the coworkers. I already know what everybody needs. Which, of course, is utterly exhausting to me and not my job. Yet, it was my job. And once people start to get used to that, it's really hard to wean them off. Another subject we're going to talk about, energy vampires. How do you wean people off from always having done all their energy work for them? We have ways, and that's going to be in the class. Do you feel drained after talking with people about their challenges? Again, an empath will say, oh, but that's normal. It's normal because it always happens to you, but it's not normal. There are plenty of people out there that can talk to someone about their problems and walk away and leave that behind. So it is not normal. It's just normal for you as an empath. Do you frequently find yourself over-serving others and not taking care of yourself first? Another great example of what I was talking about earlier, where I would just take care of everything at work, everything everybody needed, and not look out for myself. Take care of myself last. that over-serving others, especially for people who are in service occupations, which often empaths are, there becomes this really interesting loop where the empath says, I have to serve, and then gets exhausted and needs to take care of themselves, but feels selfish if they take care of themselves, judging that serving even when they need to be caring for themselves, and it circles. This often leads to physical maladies, meaning you get sick. Most of the empaths that I have talked to, if they're in their 40s or above, are ill in some way. Because running more than one person's issues through your nervous system is very, 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 very tiring and hard. That's why we're doing the class. Here's the classic one. Do people tell you to stop being so sensitive? I talked about that earlier, so I'll skip over that for now, but yes. People are telling you constantly, stop being so sensitive. Very good indicator you're an empath and that they have no idea what to do with you. So in the class, we're going to talk about how to talk to people about your gift and how to respond to stop being so sensitive in a way that doesn't sound grumpy and mean and all that stuff. Are you dealing with stubborn digestive, respiratory, or skin issues? Empaths tend to have these conditions. Do your friends and or partners have intense personalities? Okay. This one stings because I was in a really not good marriage for 10 years. And so I walked this path and I know where I'm speaking from. For some reason, it's very common for empathic people to hang around with people who are very, very intense. I think it has something to do with the steadiness of that intense broadcast that somehow feels comforting that it doesn't change, even though it's not soft, it's not friendly, it's not nice. It's my theory. So we'll talk about that also in the class. Yeah. So that gives you a starting point. There's probably, you know, we could probably do another 10 or 20 of those, but those are the ones that come up the most. And those are the ones that seem to be pretty cut and dried as well. The class. So what I'm doing with the class is I'm offering in July, I'm going to offer 2 sessions. When you register for one, you get both. You can attend one or both or none and just watch the replay. Everybody that registers gets the replay of both. So what I wanted to do is make as many opportunities for you to ask your questions, get help one-on-one with specific examples of what's going on for you, and to work very closely with you in finding your path to feeling like a superhero. So that'll be the class that's coming up. We are going to use essential oils during the class. I have found them to be extraordinary allies in this journey of making your empathic self feel like a superhero. We will have lots of other tools as well. And so the essential oils part is not an add-on, but I feel like it's an essential part of it, or I wouldn't include it. But a few people have asked me if they can participate if they don't have oils or they don't want to buy oils, and I'm saying yes. However, you won't be able to participate in some of the interactive things we'll do toward the end of the class, but you'll get to see what we're doing, and that will give you some insights on how to do it in your life as well. But I did get asked if I could make that exception, and I'm saying yes, that I will. That way you get the opportunity to hear all the other things I'm going to talk about and also ask questions live. If you already have a doTERRA account, great, you can sign up for the class. If you don't already have a doTERRA account, great, you can sign up for the account or for the class. If you open a doTERRA account and make an order of oils for the class, you never, ever, 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 ever have to order a single thing again. I can't imagine that I would work with a company that requires people to put in a monthly order. That would just freak me out. So no, you do not have to ever order again. And if you want to, great. And if you don't, that's perfect. Either way. But you don't have to. There's not a have to. This is the other side of have to is where we're going with this class. Let me just read a couple of things that I'm going to cover in the class as well. We're going to talk about how to clear your energy field, how to stop picking up on the energy of others, how to use your sensitivities only when you want to, how to stop letting other people use your nervous system. Oh, that's the main one. How to cultivate a connection to your centered self. Oof, that is just delightful when that happens. How to be the calm at the center of the storm, right? When you're the calm at the center of the storm after being run over empath, I tell you, the difference, life-changing is not a big enough term to convey it. How to deal with those energy vampires. How to trust your insights and ahas. How to trust yourself. Because you'll know where your feelings stop and where other people's feelings start. Yeah, that. How to use your empathic skills in healthy ways at work, home, and in social settings. Because each of those requires a different approach. How to know what you're broadcasting to the world and how to change that. How to say no and mean it, so when you say yes, people can trust it. How to develop your own unique energy sensing language. So once we have a chance to talk about all the ways that it is to be an empath and all the ways to modify being an empath to help you, then that's where we're going to get into the superhero talk, where we talk about, okay, now let's use this to support you and offer you powerful powerful ways to be in the world. And yeah, focusing on how empaths see and sense the world differently, and how when you know that, you can make your relationships much better. Yeah. A classic thing empaths constantly say is, why don't my friends, or why doesn't my partner, or why doesn't my boss know what I'm feeling, what's important to me? I know what they feel and what's important to them. And that sort of why is such suffering, and we don't have to do that. Don't have to do it anymore. We just don't have to do it anymore. So this first run of the class is going to be July 8th at 10 a.m. Pacific and July 10th at 6 p.m. Pacific. Again, come to one, come to both, just watch the recording, totally up to you. It's $35 for the class, plus any oils that you buy. I've got a list of suggested oils and the list of the oils that we're going to use in the class on my website, and that's oilenergetics.com. Oilenergetics.com is where you can go and register for the class, read this list that I've been reading off to you, and learn more about what's going on and who I am. So those are the things that I thought would be helpful that I wanted to share with you today. If you have any questions, feel free to post, and I will do my best to answer them right away. And if you have any other general questions, you can reach me at oilenergetics@gmail.com or from the contact form on oilenergetics.com. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot.